Hi, in this video we'll take a look at how you could set up your Moodle gradebook. The Moodle gradebook can be accessed by selecting Gradebook Setup from the Administration block. So once you're in the Gradebook Setup, notice the name of your course is listed here, and if you follow that to the right, we want to select Edit and Edit Settings. And there are various types of aggregations available in Moodle. And the one that is highly recommended by our Moodle provider, Moonami, and it's actually a new type of aggregation that's available to us, is Natural. So we'll select Natural in our example here. And I'm going to take a moment and click on the Show More link. And let's take a quick moment to take a look at the Exclude Empty Grades option that's selected by default. So as long as you leave this selected, any grade item where you have not entered a grade will not be used in the calculation. So in other words, if a course max points is 500, early in the semester, if a student earns a 5 out of a 5 on an assignment, the student's grade would appear as 100%, as compared to being calculated 5 out of 500 total points, which would show the student's grade as a failing grade. So it's good to leave the Exclude Empty Grades selected as the default. So let's go ahead and save changes. Okay, and now we're ready to go ahead and add our categories. We'll add our first category, homework. And the aggregation, we need to keep it consistent. Select Natural and save changes. Okay, so here you see the category that we just created, homework, and we're ready to create our second category. And let's call this quizzes, aggregation natural, save changes. Okay, so there's our second category, quizzes. So now we're ready to add some columns in here. And our columns are also referred to as grade items. So we'll add a homework 1, homework 1, we could leave it as the default 100 points, and we want this saved in the category homework, and save changes. Okay, and let's create homework 2 as well, add grade item, and homework 2. And if we save changes here, I want to show you something. We didn't associate it with a category, and if that happens where you create a column or a grade item but you don't have it in a category, so this needs to be moved into the homework category, and you can easily do that by clicking on the little icon, move icon that I'm pointing to. So once you click on that, your screen's going to look a little different. And so here you get to select where you want that homework 2 to be moved to. So it makes sense to move it under the category homework and under homework 1. So the box right under homework 1, just click on it, and so the system automatically moves it under here. So it works out pretty easily, but it's probably easiest to just select the category right when you're creating the item. Anyways, let's take a quick moment here and take a look at what's happening. So you've got the two categories, homework and quizzes. And homework, we only have points associated with homework. So our homework is worth 100%. And the two, homework 1, homework 2, are worth 50% of the whole weightage of the class. And so that's why you see 50 and 50% of the weight is for one exam, and the second exam is weighted at 50 for a total of 100. So let's go ahead now and add some quizzes and see what this looks like. Oh, and from time to time you might want to hit the save changes so your changes are saved. So let's go ahead and add some quizzes in here. So add grade item, and we'll call this quiz 1. And we want this in the grade category quizzes. I'm going to go ahead and create a quiz 2 as well. Oh, but before I do that, notice what's happening over here. You've got your quizzes, so you've got 3 exams, and so each, or rather 3 items in your gradebook, and they're all worth 100 points. And so you've got 2/3 of the class is worth, the 2/3 of the weight of your class is in homework. So you see 2/3, 66.667%. And 1/3 of the points in your class is associated with quizzes, because you've just got 100 points for quizzes, and that's 33.33%. So you see how the system has distributed the grades. So let's go ahead and create a quiz 2 in here. Yeah. So we have quiz 2 created. And so you see what's happening here. We've got homework that's worth 50% of the grade of the class, and quizzes are worth 50%. And if you want to change that around, we could do that. If your quizzes need to be worth more, all you basically do is click on the left hand, the little checkbox here. And if your quizzes are worth 60%, so you just type in 60. And then save changes. And the system will automatically adjust the weights of the class. So if quizzes are worth 60%, the remaining 40% is automatically assigned to the homework. And also notice that the various items within the category needs to add up to 100. So your quiz 1, quiz 2, 50 points, 50% comes up to 100, and the same thing over here in this category. So that's how you kind of distribute the various weights between the various categories. Now, say for example you want to add a final, and the final is worth 30%. So let's see how that works. So we'll create the grade item final. And if it's worth 100 points, and we will, not leave it in any category. We'll just leave it under the main course and see what it looks like. So if you scroll down here, just because you have quizzes at 60%, the remaining 40% is automatically divided between the homework and the final here. But if you want your final to be absolutely worth 30%, of your grade, you could do that and come in here, select the check mark here, and go, this needs to be worth 30% of the grade, and then go save changes. And this would automatically, when you save changes, distribute the remaining percent to homework, which it just did. So you've got quizzes at 60, final at 30, that gives us a 90. So the remaining 10% is just automatically assigned to the remaining category here, which is homework. And then we want to save changes. One quick note, if you want to all the time, keep your quizzes at 60% and final at 30%, just leave the check mark on the left-hand side of it. Keep it selected so the system doesn't redistribute the percent. Typically, your homework 1 and homework 2 might not be 100, it might be 30 and 20. And if you need to make the change, you can do that. If you manually created the column like we did, homework 1 and homework 2, you can make the changes right here and edit settings. And in the maximum grade, make the change to 30. And then we save changes. And I could, make the change for homework 2 as well. Come in here, change that to a different point value, and save the changes. One thing to note here is if your homework 1 was created using the assignment tool in the course, then you can't make the change right here. You'd have to go to the assignment settings and edit the settings, and then make the change right in the homework edit settings. By the way, if you do not want to create categories such as homework and the quizzes that we created in this example, you could just go ahead and enter the columns like we did for the final exam, and just leave them all as individual items like this. And then if there are weights associated with it, you can still check the checkbox and then enter the weights for it for the class. And but if there are no weights and it's all straight points, you don't have to even touch anything in the weights, and Moodle would automatically do the calculations for you. Let's go ahead and add some grades for a student and see what it looks like. So we do that by going to the gradebook setup, the drop-down box, and selecting grade or report. And here you'll see the various students listed. And I've got some fictitious students, Laker 1, we can use that as an example, and enter some grades here. So homework 1 was a maximum 30 points, so we'll add half of that for all the grades for Laker 1, and we'll check to see if they receive a 50%, which, if everything is correct, that's what they should receive. Homework 2 was max 20 points, so half of that, 10, and all the other grades were out of 100, so 50 for this, 50 for quiz 2, and the final was 50 as well. The fields we're currently editing has changed. Would you like to use the updated value? Just enter OK for that. So here, final was out of 100, so we'll do a 50 and enter. And the course total comes up, it should be 50%, it comes up to 175, and the max points was 350. And we can go back and check that as well. So to check that, let's go back here, and excuse my scrolling back and forth. So quick check, so gradebook setup, and all the way down at the bottom of the gradebook setup was the course total 350. So 175, that helper 1 received 175 points out of a total of 350 points, that's 50%. So we know that the gradebook setup here is correct. Let's see what the the grades report looks like for Laker 1. So to do that, we select the drop-down list here and select user report and select the user, and we're interested in Laker 1, so select Laker 1 and see what it looks like. So this is the exact same view that the student would see when they access their grades. So it's pretty consistent with what we saw in the gradebook percentage, 50% all the way through, so they received a F in the class. So if it doesn't make sense, you can hide the letter grade at this point. If you want to make this visible only at the end of the class, you can do that. And to do that, we need to go back to the, I think we can go to the gradebook setup, and then on the left-hand side in the administration block, you want to select course grade settings. And from this page here, we want to navigate further down to the user report, and then at the bottom here it says show letter grades. Show is the default, and let's just change that to hide, because it's just going to throw the students off possibly through the semester till the end of the semester. It probably should be hidden. And save the changes. So now if we go back and take a look at Laker 1, we should see the letter grade associated. So there were letter grades all over here, but there's no letter grade right now. If you do not want your course total visible to the students till the end of the semester, you can easily hide it by going into the gradebook setup and then selecting edit and hide for the course total. And notice if we scroll back down, course total is grayed out, so the students would not be able to see the course total when they view their grades. So in this video, we started out with an empty gradebook. We first created categories, and then we created gradebook items or gradebook columns and moved some of these columns into the categories. Then we gave the various categories weights, and then we went ahead and added student grades into the gradebook. And we took a look at what the student would see when they access their grades. And then we did a couple tweaks to the gradebook. We hid the course letter grade, and we also hid the course total. By the way, the red numberings here reflect the timing in the video where the various topics were discussed. The gradebook is quite powerful, and there are other features and customization that's possible. So if you have any questions or would like me to set up your gradebook for you, feel free to contact me at 635-6231 or send me an email at sdivaprasad@lssu.edu or moodle@lssu.edu. Thank you.